About the only thing that comes to us without effort is old age. So says Dr. Billy Graham in his latest book, Nearing Home, Life, Faith, and Finishing Well. We're exploring the life, the faith, and these chapters with the eldest son of Billy and Ruth Graham, Franklin Graham, now heading up Billy Graham Evangelistic Association. And how many years Samaritan's Purse?
Over 30.
Over 30. Yeah. Operation Christmas Child, and your dad says in the book that the tsunami earthquake in Japan happened as he was writing the book, sure. And you were sending that immediate response into that situation, and I'm sure just about every other crisis that erupts in this world, Franklin.
Well, when we have a crisis, Moira, we use them to try to make a difference for the cross of Christ. In Japan, we put together a 747, and we put shelter material. It's a reinforced plastic that you can use to build shelters out of. The Japanese didn't have any. And we have a lot in this country because we use it after tornadoes and that sort of thing, but they don't have tornadoes there. They occasionally will get a typhoon, but that earthquake and that tsunami just devastated that east coast of Japan. And so we're still working there in the process of helping Japanese Christians build houses for people in the community. What we do is we partner always with the churches so that when it's all said and done, it's not about Samaritan's Purse, but it's about that local church that has been able to respond in Jesus' name. And the churches in Japan are small.
1% Christian?
It's about that. I'm not sure it's even 1%. I think they claim it's about that, but they're very small.
Wonderful work. I have to tell you, I was going through the checkout line one year with my red Operation Christmas Child box.
Thank you.
And the girl in Dollarama was asking what I was doing, and her eyes filled with tears, and she said, "I'd love to do that." I said, "I'll bring you some boxes." It's just been one of the most wonderful ministries.
And more, we've been able to touch the lives each year. This last year was over 8 million boxes we were able to send. And that's 8 million people packing 8 million boxes, and we ask everybody to pray. Pray for the child who's going to get your boxes. I don't know who's going to get your box. God does. God knows. And when you have 8 million people praying for 8 million children, just think what God might do in the lives of those kids. And we know each year there are hundreds of thousands of kids that receive Christ as a result of the prayers of the people that have prayed for those boxes and prepared the boxes and helped ship the boxes.
Of course, this is all part of the legacy of the faithful mother and father. And I've just been so curious about your dad's life now, and you talked about him being lonely, but I opened this Current Decision magazine and was able to set eyes on a man that your dad talks about in his book.
Yeah.
Tell us who this is.
Louis Imprini. He was in World War II, aviator, shot down. He was also an Olympian, very well known in this country. And then when he was shot down, they thought he was dead. And there was no record that he was alive. And finally, the Japanese, after several years, released the fact that he was still living.
He'd been a prisoner
and
of
he'd
war.
been a prisoner, and he talks about in his book, Unbroken. It is a fascinating story, but he tells in his book how he came to faith in Jesus Christ in my father's crusade.
His very first crusade.
First crusade in Los Angeles.
1949.
Came forward, and his life was changed. Here was a hard-drinking, hard-living World War II veteran, an Olympian, who had spent years in prison, whose heart was filled with bitterness and hatred for the enemy, for what they did to him, and his life was turned upside down and changed instantly. That night he gave his heart to Christ.
And here are these gentlemen, all these years later,
Yeah.
over half a century later, looking like they're just enjoying. This is Little Piney Cove. This is where your dad's living now.
That's where he lives now.
And it's a recent picture.
Oh, it was just taken just a few months ago. He came here to the library to do a book signing. And people when they heard that he was coming, people lined up hours in advance to get his book. He first thing he did when he sat down behind the table, he sent word down the line, any World War II veterans, come to the front of the line.
Oh.
And so there were a number of veterans that were there, and they came to the front of the line, and he signed the book and had the picture taken with him.
Just wonderful. Your dad says in his book that he finds it difficult to entertain a visit of longer than an hour.
That's true.
But he does have visitors.
It's this, he talks about in his book that when in old age that he wasn't prepared for weakness, just the lack of strength in life. And for a person, even a family member, someone that he wants to spend time with, after about an hour, his energy level is depleted. And you have to realize that with an older person, they have to go, and the way they recharge their batteries is they just lay down for 20 minutes, lay down for an hour, let them close their eyes, let them take a nap, and then boom, they've got that energy back for, again, a little short window. But with Daddy, when I go visit him, I don't stay more than usually about an hour, then let him get some rest again.
Well, you can have an extended visit with Billy Graham. That's what it'll feel like, I guarantee it, nearing home.